What's going on, gamers? Hopefully, everybody is having a good morning or almost afternoon because I slept a little bit longer than usual, so my video is going to be up a little bit late. Looks like there's not that many trends going on today, and there's a lot of topics I've already covered, but here's one that's interesting. Shuhei Yoshida actually backing Sony's digital-only push. Now, it's interesting what he has to say because I've been telling people about this for quite some time. I agree with him 100%, definitely as being a totally digital but buyer myself. And I want you guys to hear this out. It does not mean I don't think people losing the physical choice is cool. That's not what this is about. What this is about is understanding that what you view as physical is no longer physical anymore. And he's going to say the same thing basically right here. So are we ready to get into this? Become a member. Leave a tip down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Here we go. Let's read the little highlight. Then we're going to get to his little post right here. It says Sony's plan to stop making physical discs for new PlayStation games starting January 2028, with all titles available digitally through the PlayStation Store. Yoshida, a longtime executive and self-described digital consumer, welcomes the change. You see, keyword. Noting physical copies still need patches and updates anyway, though he regrets losing collectible items. See, he's not basically saying, oh yeah, whatever, but he's like, no, there's collectible, collector's edition, stuff like that. And just other things like, that's what he regrets, because sometimes some people go and buy that. Definitely, he's a millionaire, multimillionaire. He can go get whatever the hell he wants. But he's correct about that. And a perfect example of that, and I have to probably make an Xbox video about something different, is let's say if you went to buy Halo Campaign Evolved, right? Somebody tried to put, oh, I got the physical copy on Xbox during all the drama breakouts when it was happening, and it said you need to be online and download the game, or you cannot play it. That's not truly physical offline, like a cart on a Nintendo Switch. On top of that, you have to sign into an Xbox Live account. You see what I mean? So that right there means that that's not really physical ownership. Though you want to buy the game case with the disc in there, but is the disc giving you what you want? Meaning that, let's say if some crazy stuff happened, it's no longer available, and somebody had a physical copy, but they had an Xbox, right? And they never played the game before. If there was no internet or online, you would never be able to play the game. You see what I'm saying? You see, what you want is that if you had the disc, no matter what, you could put it in there and play the game. We saw what happened when Xbox servers went down, right? Some physical copies were not even working. And then some of them have a verifiable license check. So what's the difference if you're still in the same field as the digital in that ballpark and you don't have day and date patches on the disc? What if that game launched unfinished and you're sitting there with a buggy, broken game and you need to go online and get the updates? And if you're an online player, you shouldn't be saying anything because you have to be online to play anyways. And if it's for single player games that are rushed and they're very buggy, you know, some of them are, if you get that disc version, which never updates with patches, you have to actually get them online, then yeah, you're not really getting the physical ownership that you think. Back then, you had to launch games and have them finish until this digital era came in where you could put patches in and all that. And like you're saying, if you want to get like DLCs and all that other stuff and updates for that, you have to be online for that. And you are online. Like, that's why I think that some of that stuff is fake. So, like he's saying, patches and updates, though he regrets losing collectibles items. Fans push back, emphasizing the value of choice. Resale rights, sharing. Well, here's the thing. You can share your account with somebody without needing to actually meet them somewhere and give them the disc and hope that they take care of it. That's why I feel like digital eliminates all of that. Also, digital has a whole entire world of like 30, 40,000 games on the market. You go inside a place, they can only hold a certain amount of games in the case. Seriously, only the ones that they think that are hot that are available. And then you would have to search all around the world, go to all these GameStops to hope that you would find something that actually had a physical copy. Then I told people that when Sony switches to digital only in 2028, if all those third-party developers are doing the same thing, then you're not getting a physical copy. And it's just going to be a code in the box or something like Halo where you have to get online. And even then, they're not going to waste their time with that. So that's why I say that the only solution is if Sony somehow provided backwards compatibility support in a disk drive. And outside of that, Nintendo is your only solution with a game key card. if that's what those publishers want to start doing. That's what I was trying to tell you. Look at what they're trying to do in the Nintendo world. So you can already get the idea. If Sony makes that movement, I think most of them are just going to be like, sorry, nah, I'm not doing any disc. And if there is, you better hope that something like limited run games, like an option like that, or somebody to the side is going to, make a third party disc department to actually support those games, which I think would be cool. So yeah, fans are going to fight for resale rights. I can understand that now. Sharing and long-term preservation over account-dependent digital libraries. Well, like I said, if they make the game to where it requires you to be online, you need to get a license check, a download, they can change the way physical games work just by the way the system is set up. That's the problem, guys, that I've been trying to tell you. So the move follows shifting consumer habits towards digital, but many question if it prioritizes convenience at the expense of flexibility. Now, like I said, trading on the market, reselling, and saving yourself money because you could trade something in or whatever, I mean, that's cool, but I feel like if I get a game, I want the game. I don't want to get rid of it. At that point, man, GameStop was ripping off people big time. Those bastards were taking it and reselling it higher consistently for everything and giving you lower value than they should have. Well, we're going to get into some comments in this because this is going to get interesting. But yeah, this is what he said. I don't want to manage disc, right? We're going to read his former PlayStation boss, Shuhei Yoshida, thinks Sony's decision to stop making physical disc is not a big issue. Personally, I'm a totally digital consumer. I don't want to manage disc or swap disc. Me neither. It's annoying. Or think about taking care of them. I want all my games on my dashboard, and I just select the game and play it. So I'm completely digital. I've been this way for a while too, and the majority of the world is now, as you see. He also questioned whether the end of physical games is really such a big issue. Even with physical disc games, in most cases, developers are constantly updating and adding game data anyway. He says physical players still need to download new patches, DLC, or updates. So he said, not having a disc, I don't understand if it's such a big issue. He also understands why some players are worried. It would be a shame if physical games were no longer available to collect. It's just an option. I'm not talking about that being gone. I'm just saying that if you're talking about thinking you have more ownership than a digital, I don't know about that. Definitely if they remake the game and say the other game is no longer available, then the physical copy is not going to mean anything. He says physical players still need to download new patches, DLCs, or updates. We wouldn't have to if you did your job properly and sold us complete games, like 15 to 20 years ago before greed corrupted your very soul. That's the thing that I'm saying. It's like back then when you released a game, there was no patches. It had to actually be complete. Now we live in a world where the gaming development works completely different. You can release a game and then fix it over time because they don't want to sit there and take forever to make a game. It takes too long. They're saying, get it out. Or you can release a game that's actually great still at the launch, but then you add in so much DLC content and updates because the game is selling well, it's doing well, and people want more on it. So it's like, it just depends on how you look at that. But I understand what Noobs is saying. That was a problem regardless. And like I said, developers can't take forever because you got publishers on your back and stuff gets expensive and you have to find a balance here. So sometimes when you release it, they get that profit and then they are able to update it more and optimize it more. I don't know if you remember what Phil Spencer was saying that one time when he was like, the way this system is working now, this industry, there's some things that I don't like because people were like smashing down on the Series S. And he was like, developers like start optimizing at the last end and then they develop everything and do everything at the beginning. They'll finish the game, right? But then at the end, they're optimizing. And when they're optimizing for the highest specs and then they go down to the low later. He says, I think they should start off on the low because that would help them get to the high. And Nintendo does this all the time. And a lot of developers actually start to adjust to that over time recently, but before it was like that, definitely at the beginning of the generation. And that's why you saw games the way they were. Now you're seeing games start to be more optimized, which is a good thing. So Phil Spencer was saying everybody should start at the lowest denominator and then go up to the highest denominator because that will make you a better developer. And that the Series S has made developers think about that. Not that it's holding back, it's just that the way that people were actually focusing on the development and optimization, meaning optimization comes towards the end, then it's not finished like it should be. So I actually agree with him on that. If you started at the lowest denominator and then went up at the highest, it would actually be better. So this is not necessarily a physical problem, but if you want a disc, of course, it kind of affects you in that way because you have to get online and get the patches rather than the game being complete. But either way, you will still be the person that doesn't get all those updates, all those additions, all those DLCs, and just quality of life improvements. Sometimes you can't do everything perfect at the same time. That's where that could also be better at the other end of the spectrum. Some of those games back then, you're like, man, I wish there would have been more to this game, but it was done. Remember, I've been gaming since 1993 or 1992, so I know all about that. I was there. I've seen everything. So the same person, right? Well, you have to think about it, bro. The digital medium was totally different around that time. And I get what you're saying. The entire success of PS4 was due to the massive importance of physical game ownership and the backlash against an all-digital future. He's being very disingenuous here at very least. No, he's just saying how he feels now compared to then. I didn't feel that way then because everybody was still buying physical copies, bro. It's a different world. You were talking about literally 12 years ago or 13 years ago. Things change, man. You ain't going to tell people that went to buy movies and DVDs and albums that they feel the same right now with that. They don't, bro. Everybody's on Spotify, Apple Music, watching free stuff on YouTube without paying, on Netflix 24/7, Hulu. You see what I'm saying? Like it changed completely. There's nothing you can do about that. And we made it that way by voting for it with our money. This means he doesn't understand crap. Yes, he does. He knows what he's talking about. You just don't understand that it's not just Sony's fault. It's also our fault. Even though I'm okay with all digital, but I supported it too. So I have to say in that sense that stop trying to act like it doesn't take two to tango. You reap what you sow, meaning we all voted for this the whole time and built up that empire to be 85% digital. Xbox 90%. PC has been doing it 100% completely. Nintendo has the biggest physical empire, right? Like outside of that, it's like they're just telling you, hey, we see this is what you want. This is what's going to help us out the most. This is what's going to make us the most money. Of course, there's no doubt about that. I mean, we're not going to say that's not one of the biggest shifts towards that, but it's literally the best decision. And I'm not going to sit there and be like, it's all Sony's fault only. The only thing that I would say that's Sony's fault is the way that they're handling it. Because they want to make that move and not find some support for you. But then still, like I said before, we got till 2028 to see how they actually do this. Is there going to be a disk drive option for those games for PS6 players that want a disk drive for backwards compatibility support? Otherwise, you're going to get it digitally. Either way, like I said, as more time passes on, we're going to see how things work. So I want you guys to let me know what you actually think about this. Become a member, leave a tip down below, like, comment, and subscribe as usual. Like I said, in general, the only people that can say anything about this anyways to me are people who are legitimately in the PlayStation world that were buying physical and Nintendo gamers because they have the biggest physical support in the industry. Outside of that, where's it at? Nobody buys games on Xbox at all. And you definitely don't buy anything physical. It was all Series S, digital only, Game Pass, not even buying anything and getting on a cloud and then going on an app on a computer and doing literally the same thing. You see what I mean? Because the computer doesn't support physical. And like 95% are on Steam. And then the other percent are on Epic, Xbox, and a little bit of percentage on GOG, which is a very, very small percent. Yeah, you see what I mean? So if you look at it that way, you kind of get the idea. Who was really supporting physical this whole time? PlayStation and Nintendo. Let's be real here. Later, y'all.